Hey, welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 81. We got the Prater brothers on, the two four-letter B brothers, Brad and Bart. I'm going to mix your names up the entire night, even though we've already talked to Brad. Um, uh, Brad, a lot of you guys probably know as Pork Chop XJ. He's got a Cherokee on 42s or something like that. It's a cool rig. We haven't talked about Bart's rig, though, and I believe it's a ZJ, and you just finished some motor work on it, right? You just swapped the motor?
For the fourth time.
Oh, okay, so
For
not the
the
first time.
fourth time?
So yeah, there's a couple things we want to cover from Bart's rig to some interesting happenings at the meet and beat, and then I guess we'll see where it goes from there. But I think we want to hit on Bart's rig first. So I guess how do you want to introduce us to your rig? What is it? What's it got going on with it? Why four motors? Do you just swap in junkyard motors like Luke, or are you doing like built motors and they're just not holding up, or what?
Maybe he's just bad at driving.
Well,
Next year.
it never really. I guess we'll even start with it's a '96 Grand Cherokee. It started life as a 4 liter. I did swap a 5.9 into it. That was run for quite some time, and then Bradley started the whole LS stuff. It's just like me and Bradley stay in competition. It's one up each other. Anyway, so I decided to do the 5.3 swap, and the first engine was a uh, I got a donor vehicle. It came with the Holly System 5.3. It's had a stage three right to the racing camp or truck cam in it. So I put that one in, and before the Holly System was even tuned on it, it spun rod bearings. So I sourced another engine, put the cam in it, swapped the heads over, put it in, tuned the Holly System, and it made it to the trails. It ran a day and a half, and it spun rod bearings. So that went to engine number three, which I completely rebuilt, all new bearings and everything with a different cam. And I went to a standalone harness and a factory ECM. It made it to the trail and lasted 2 days and lost oil pressure. And so that gets us to the point of getting ready for the meet and beat, which is when I met Bradley. He found me a aluminum block 5.3, got it, put it in, factory camshaft, factory engine, put it in, factory tune, and that's where we went to the meet and beat with just a stock 5.3.
And you didn't wipe out the cam or anything yet? Bearings are all
No,
good?
no, this, yeah, I mean, I didn't, as I
You
guess we're
didn't do
calling it
anything to
now,
it. Okay.
right, yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess now we're calling it the LS Magic. I didn't let the LS Magic out. We didn't touch
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. As soon as you start pulling and replacing bearings, and that is quote unquote letting the magic out of it, you have to leave everything 300,000 mile plus. You have to leave it exactly the way it is, the way it's found.
It's happy like
If you
that.
do anything, yeah, that's the way it's happy. I mean, GM put this thing together, 20 years ago. You just, if you want to put a cam in it, go ahead, slide your cam out, slide a new one in. Don't look at the cam bearings, just run it. Don't do nothing. And that's what he did, except for swapping the cam. He didn't swap the cam, but he didn't let
No,
the
it's,
magic
it's
out,
a,
and it worked.
yep, it's a stock 5.3, and when I fired it up, it had like 50 pounds of oil pressure, and at operating temp, it was like 25 to 30. So that was the engine that made it to the meet and beat. And even though I don't know if I got a loose bolt or something, there was a rattle on it by the end of the meet and beat. We were pretty rough on the thing, but
That's how it goes. So
Yeah, whenever it's sitting in the middle of the trail, just sitting there idling, it sounds like someone parked their work truck out there somewhere. It's just like blub, 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 blub.
yeah, no catalytic converters, just Flowmaster Super 40, and it's definitely just yeah, it sounds like a work truck.
like a little bit of a stumble, like it's not quite doing what it's supposed to and ticking away. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the redneck that cut off his cats and put a Flowmaster on it on
Okay.
his Suburban.
Jeez. So what else is done to it? I know it's a 96 ZJ, but I mean, I guess, uh, what do you got for suspension? I know it's basically not a ZJ anymore. It looks like it's mostly tube. Like,
No,
Come on.
the only thing left on the ZJ is basically the actual body itself. It's tube doors. I did the cage myself with a buddy's tube bender. Um, After D White rear-ended me at RBD, the rear gate came off, and I did more tube work on the back. But it is ORI's front and rear, 0560 front, 14 bolt rear, and I am on 43 Mickey Stickies.
Hell yeah.
And I'm running turbo 400 trans with reverse manual valve body. I don't even know what stall converter I have in it now at this point because so much of stuff's changed.
So why is ZJ? I mean, it seems like a lot of people down there go with the Cherokee. If you're going with like a I don't know, I'd say cheaper than like a TJ or JK or something. Like why the ZJ?
Well, that's a good question.
I-
So I actually had a Wrangler back years ago, and I actually went through a divorce and sold the Wrangler. And Bradley got back into Jeeps. I didn't have one, so I was like, "Well, I got to get back in this." And so we started looking. Bradley found this ZJ bone stock somewhere in, I guess, Middle Tennessee. I just got a picture of it. Bone
Oh,
stock.
look at
And he got it for, what was it, like $300 or something?
$300.
$300, and it had a noise in the engine. It had a 4-liter in it, and it ran. And whenever he brought it to me, I pulled the head off and pulled a piston out. It had a broke piston skirt for one cylinder, and I got a piston, put it in it, put the head back on, got it running with no noise, and I was like, cool. I drove, which Rough Country is right down the road from me. That next week, I drove to Rough Country, picked up the cheapest 3.5-inch lift they had, came back home, put on it, and put some 2-inch spucks on it. So I was running like 5.5 inches of lift on this thing with stock Dana 30 and 35 axles, open carriers. And I think it was like the next weekend, we go out to AOP, and that Jeep just went everywhere. So basically, the ZJ came because it was cheap. It was a Jeep, and it got me back Jeeping again and riding. So it was never intentionally, hey, man, I want to find a ZJ or something. It was like, this is cheap, man. And, I was broke. Just let's get something and go wheeling.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, the original ad for it, because I have the original ad, it shows that the dude was asking $500 for it and offered him $3. He took it. I mean, the thing was, it was surprisingly clean for what it was. It had a little bit of clear coat going on it, but I mean, it was a clean rig. And then he completely just started to destroy it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It's already had,
yeah.
before I put tube doors on it, I went through 2 sets of doors on it. Because, when those doors, they don't hold up to crap off road. The Jeep works until I went to LS.
Yeah, that seems to be the. I hate to say it, but I don't know. You're not the first one who's had multiple pretty obnoxious engine failures right in a row. And then,
Yeah.
Nick LeBlanc who just put the motor in his, had issues with his, right? I don't know.
Oh, that dude though. I don't know how many people know this, and I don't know how open he's been with everybody. He had the limiter set at like 6,900 RPM. He said he put a sloppy stage 2 cam in it, and he says it was still making power at 6,900. And I thought that was too much, so we just left it there. And I was like, dude, that was too much. That is a lot.
What are you talking about? That sounds like the perfect RPM to just leave it at.
Yeah, and that thing's a 6-liter, I think, too. So they don't really like to rev like that. And yeah, so that was probably it. I think whenever I talked to him, I think that was his thought process as far as what.
Okay.
Y'all could maybe ask him, but that was his thought process on probably why it went. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll pick his brain at some point while we're here. What's the Prater approved rev limiter for a 6.0 or 5.3 or a 4.8 or whatever then?
55.
I think my 2-step is set at 65. It was set at 67 at one point, and
Weren't you the
Never
one
had.
that we were talking about with the you have the 4.8 with the Hornet something rings or not rings springs? Don't you have
No,
now
no,
who's wait,
mine's
who's
just a
that?
5.3. It's got a cam and it does have a set of springs in it, but it was set at 6,700 there for a while, and I glowed the headers on it several times, and haven't had an issue. I have some lifters that are going down. You'll hear them anytime I start it up from when it's cold, but other than that, I've had no problems out of my engine.
It can be at operating temp, and you shut it off for 5 seconds, and you restart it.
Yeah,
Those lifters make noise.
yeah, that's on my to-do list. I need to put some lifters in that thing. They're bad.
My
They're really
my
bad.
first three engines was set at, I think, 64 or 67, and my fourth engine on the stock engine, I think it's set at like 6,000 or something. It's not even up that high.
Yeah, it's stock basically.
I put
So,
it at
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I say I just set mine at, I think, 6,000, and my re-enables at like 10 RPMs below it. That was it.
So what you're telling me is set it at 5999 and re-enable at like what? So it's
60000.
perfect.
No, my limit was 6,000. My re-enable was 59990. Yeah.
Now,
Huh.
when you have that set further apart, is that where you get that really harsh, like traditional LS, angry sounding rev limiter?
Well, it's just basically I don't like to hear a rev limiter where it's like seconds in between it re-enabling. So I've shortened mine up where it was only 10 RPMs different, so it's faster. So the re-enable is a da 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 instead of being, as with John Moore, his is the worst one. Sounds like
That's
a
bad.
damn.
It sounds like a what? Sorry, you cut out like right at the pinnacle there.
Like an elephant or something.
It sounds like an elephant.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a Lexus IS 250's rev limiter? It is the most insane sounding rev limiter. It is so quick. I don't know if it's like literally like a 3 RPM difference, but it is nuts. They sound insane.
I don't know if I've heard that.
I hadn't either.
I had a video on my Instagram a while back of it, but that was like the most insane sounding rev limiter ever. And it's not even two-step either, and it just had the sickest sound. It was awesome.
What is it, a Lexus?
It's
Yeah.
it was their when they changed from the body that had the 2J in it to their new model like the 0809, it had just like a 2.5 liter V6 into it, and I don't even know how to explain it other than it was just like this crazy super crisp snappy RP or rev limiter. It was sick.
I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah. That was something that always intrigued me was just as he said how he likes it where there's like no lag in between as it's re-engaging. It's just fucking on it. Sick. But all right, so you guys say you have a little rivalry. Who's got the better rig? I mean, I didn't see the ZJ coming out with its fucking legs tied up. It's kind of like an X-Blade did.
All right, right into that. I guess.
Oh, hold up. So, are we going to get on the subject of the Trail Ninja?
We can do whatever. I just had to talk. I had to poke some fun because you guys were saying there was a little rivalry between the two.
No, it's really Bradley's the one that started a lot of the upgrades because we were all content on 35s and Cool Springs and just going out and having a good time. And all of a sudden, Bradley's like, I'm going tons and 40s. And all of a sudden, so now we all got to play along, because you can't have one out there. He's going to get bored. He's only want to hit some good shit. So we had to play along too. And that's how it kind of started. Mm-hmm. So the rivalry, I guess, is the fact like Bradley went to a stage 2 cam. Well, when I did it and I saw that engine had stage 3, I'm like, hell yeah, I got a stage 3. What are you going to do? But that started my downward spiral to the fourth engine. Anyway, so it's not really, it's all in good fun as far as, trying to do stuff. Both rigs work very well. And I've driven Bradley's many a times in the trails, and there's no question he did his homework when he set up the coilovers and his 4-link and stuff. The Jeep handles great. You don't get off camera situations where you feel like, that Jeep's just is stupid. Our sister, he just redid coilovers, and he had to put sway bars on it because he said it was too tipsy for him. So there's things, there's pros and cons with both of them, and
I
I don't know if Bradley's even driven mine that much to actually have any comparison that he could even input, because mine's just been down for so long with engine problems.
I'm sure that Cody's going to ask about it later, so we'll skip the tire thing. But one of the starkest differences I noticed was that the Prater brothers are split on whether it's ORI or coilover territory.
I'd say the reason why I went ORIs, and since I do have a shop that's a business, my time that I have to work on my own rig in the shop, I can't tie up a stall. I have to be able to pull my junk back out of the shop Sunday night for work on Monday morning. And so I realized after doing some research that setting up ORIs is a lot quicker and faster because of how they package that ORI with bump stops, limit straps, everything's all in one unit. So basically, you put it at full bump, you put your ORI in there, you tack some stuff in place, you pull it out, you burn it in, you put it in, you put air in it, you're good to go. So I went ORIs because of that, and also at the time I did front ones first, and I got those on Facebook Marketplace. The guy sold me 2 ORIs and the charge gauge and stuff, and it was stupid cheap. And those are the ones that are on the front of it now, even though I've gone to front and rear. But so my reasoning for it was because I didn't have optimal time and space to work on my stuff and take the process to set everything up. So
Yeah, that
I like
makes
my
sense.
coilovers. I mean, I understand the ORIs. People like them. I like coilovers though. It's you pick what you want, what you can get a good deal on too.
let me go ahead and say this. There's one benefit of a coilover is the fact if you lose a seal or your air, you still got a spring to carry your ass out. But
Yeah.
if you decide to bang the rev limiter and slide into a rock and you break the some bitches in half, then we're welding shit on the next morning to get your shit out of the damn trail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. When you break a coilover in half, you don't have a secondary means except for the bump stops.
Yep. One thing I noticed with the coilovers on at least my rig is they're very dynamic. With how I've got I forget what it's called, Brad. You're probably gonna have to correct me on this, but the secondary rate adjustment.
Yeah, you'll have a dual rate slider and then you have the adjuster nut that hits the dual rate slider, and you start working on just the lower coil spring.
Yeah, I've got
You get a
mine.
real progressive spring rate change whenever you hit that.
I've got mine set for about 2.5 inches or 3 inches, I forget which. But basically, once you've bottomed out on that, it gets a lot firmer. So it's been stupidly stable with that and with the 4-link in there. It's shocking me as to how stable it is.
Oh. There goes
You're saying
What
it's
was that?
shocking you? Did you say it's shocking you?
Compared
man, you excited me so much.
Sorry. Compared to the leaf springs that were in there, it's a fucking weird animal. It just goes.
It kind of tips weird. It looks real sketchy when you're behind it, but it's fine.
It feels great in the cab, though. Like, you
Yep.
don't feel like you're going over, and, you saw the video. It just kind of does its thing. Yeah.
So is that your vouch for coilovers?
That is my vouch for coilovers. I can't wait to do them up front at some point. That's going to be sweet. And
Anytime you go from a leaf spring or a coil spring to a coilover ORI or something different, there's such a drastic difference in how that rig handles off road. It's unreal. And one of the reasons why I decided to do something different on mine, because I was already on 40s, is we did the entrance. We're on the entrance of Walden's Ridge at what's the place I got kicked out of?
Windrock.
Windrock. And
Windrock Park.
and I felt the push off whenever I climbed, and the whole rig just went off to one side. And I was like, I'm done. I got to do something different. And when I went back, I had just the front ORIs, and there's no question there was a huge difference in how that thing handled and how it went up that same entrance. And it didn't have the push off the coil springs had. And so that's whenever I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in. And so that's why I wanted to do the rears. And so it's, having the right suspension. It doesn't even matter what size tires you're on or what size axles you're on. To have the right suspension on your rig makes a huge difference in how that thing handles and what you can do off road.
Which reminds me to ask, what do you have under your rig? Double triangulated rear with a 3-link?
No, my rear is single triangulation in the rear, and the front's just a 3-link with a track bar.
Why the
Now,
single
is it-
triangulated?
It was easier and quicker. If I had it to do over again, I would do the double triangulation. We were at Hawk Pride. That was last year. I was already on the 43s, and we were on the hard line, and I was giving everything I had to get up. It's a pretty nasty spot. And all of a sudden I'm beating on it, and no one even said anything. And I heard something pop. So I looked back, and I could barely see like a few inches of my tire. The axle, I broke an upper link off the frame,
Ugh.
and the axle was just shoved off to the passenger side. So, of course, at that point, we winched the Jeep back over on top of the axle and crossed some straps down and tied it down to get out of the trail. But that's whenever, and Bradley, he's fire department. He's got plenty of time to research and do all this stuff. And so whenever we started talking about it, having double triangulation, you're spreading that load across all four. Whenever you're running a single triangulation, your upper links, in my case, are triangulated. They're taking all that side to side load, and it said no. It left the chat, as I guess we call it. So, if I had to do over it again, I would definitely have taken the time and set it up, and probably done a double triangulation on the rear.
I didn't think about that, but that's a really good case for the double triangulated.
Yeah,
It is.
and when you go to a double two, you have a little more flexibility with how you set up a suspension as far as what kind of numbers you're trying to hit on, not necessarily like anti-squatting or anything like that, but when it comes to like your roll center and your roll steer, roll axis, roll steer, all that, you have a lot more flexibility with where you can place those links and keep rear steer to a minimum, or if you want a lot of rear steer, you can add that to it. You have more flexibility to work with those numbers and get what you want in this suspension.
Yeah, I ended up sitting at like 1.5 degrees of roll steer.
That's
but the
good.
return to center is really, really fucking where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the standard deviation is on that. I just know where mine fell.
I think if you're going to do a double, you want to probably try to get it as close to 0 as possible, just for the fact you always know what that rear end is going to do. You don't have to guess, okay, it's going to rear steer, because like with the single, you could have a shit ton of rear steer in a single triangulated, and which people with man, it's left my mind.
The Clayton?
No, I wasn't thinking Clayton. It's trailing arms. Yes, trailing arms. People with trailing arms have a ton of flex steer, roll steer, whatever you want to call it. So I mean, you just have to know what your rear end's going to do. If it's back there, if you're dragging your rear end around, you just got to know what it's going to do. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind, really.
Good point.
Did you get way too technical because you've had so much time to research all this stuff?
Yeah, and really, what you should do is put your links where they're going to fit and go wheeling.
And
That's
check
really
the
what
numbers
you
like
should
3 months later and be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, okay,
Look how
yeah, that
shitty I
worked.
did, or look how
Yeah.
good I did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because when you rip your cross member out of your Jeep and it goes through the floorboard, it makes it a bitch to weld it back on in the trail.
It doesn't
No
matter what the
doubt.
numbers are then.
No, yeah, because you're numbered. Yeah, it's like whose links art is it anyway? Where the links are made up and they don't even matter. So
Well, when your roll steer is so bad, your axle's parallel to the body. Yeah.
dude, you
I
ain't kidding.
will. When I had the single triangulated, one thing I will say that was really annoying was it kept trying to like skate the rear axle over depending on which way that the tire was flexing out. So the rear of the Jeep would just creep out.
On your leaf springs?
Yeah.
No, on Ducky, my ZJ.
Oh, yeah.
I had the Clayton kit in that.
Was it the Clayton's a single triangulated?
For ZJs, yeah. It's got
okay.
like these brackets that wrap around the frame. That's why when he said single triangulated, I asked if it was Clayton. It's not a bad kit. It's just meh.
Yeah.
But I didn't know we were going with that. So my actual lower link brackets are still the ones that I got with a rough country kit. And of course, the rough country kit for their lifts was just it was still a 5 link. Whenever I went to the tons, what did I do on that? I ordered some brackets for my upper links to triangulate it, and I welded them onto those. And I think I ordered like 20-degree, link brackets or whatever it was. So I actually my triangulation and stuff I used was just a Frankenstein crap that I had laying around, and ordered some other stuff to make it all work. So mine wasn't necessarily a kit or anything. It was some stuff that I ordered, and I said I can use this and make this work and make my own links and stuff. So all my links were custom made and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of those cross members and stuff, like, there's doesn't matter what brand it is. If the brackets are I guess the link brackets are in the spot you want them to be in, or close enough, you can build links and make it do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us about your time at the meet and beat, and we'll get in Brad as well.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a shit show.
Yeah, it was.
So we got there, Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday night. I think you got there a little bit before me. I think I got there about 9. You probably got there 7, 8, something like that.
So Thursday, I don't even know what trail we were on. I think I got pretty sloshed. Thursday, yeah, we did. It was bad.
We did, yes.
I don't know what trail we were on. I don't even know what happened. All I know is that someone said that my drive shaft broke. I crawled underneath it Thursday night, and the drive shaft, evidently a rock got in the way, and it went in 2 pieces. And so we pulled it off the axle side, zip tied the other side up to the body, drove it back down, and Friday morning Bradley had some DOM tube laying around. So me, Todd, Eddie, and I don't even know who all, we cut the ends off of my drive shaft and used Eddie's 110 flux core welder and welded the drive shaft up, made another drive shaft, and went riding. That was pretty early. We did that. Rode all day Friday. What happened after that?
It was within 10% of being balanced for sure. It was.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, things mint.
Todd hooked it up. He's over there rolling it on the trailer, making sure everything's straight. There's no question you could drive this thing 50 miles an hour down the road and no vibrations out of this drive shaft. So the drive shaft's on point. So
and it's quarter wall DOM too, and so it's better than his old one. His other one was 120.
Oh yeah.
Like he upgraded. He upgraded in the middle of a wheeling trip.
So I guess it was it Friday that my relay failed on the fan?
I can't remember if it was or not.
I can't remember. I'm actually lost. I mean, there's a lot of
it's all blurry.
involved.
Yeah.
So
All
it
blurry.
was either Friday or Saturday. I don't know. So I think the second failure was actually my fan relay decided to quit working. And I look down and I see that my temp gauge is at 250 degrees. Well, I'm running auto meters. It stopped at 250 degrees. And so I back up out of the trail and I set it off, pop the hood. Water pump is pissing, cooling out just like a waterfall. Bradley leaves, goes to town, buys another water pump. He goes back to the trailer. Because I run my steam pipe into the top of the water pump. He drills it, taps it, and puts my fitting back in. Brings it up to the trail, and I put a water pump on it, fill up coolant. We're good to go. And so then it was. I think that actually happened Saturday, Bradley, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Also brought a 15 pack of tacos up there too, from Taco
yeah,
Bell.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and
That
we
sounds-
rode a lot. And then I don't know what night it was. It was the night that John Moore showed up. So that happened Saturday. So it was Friday night was the night that me and John Moore were, I don't even know what trail we're on. We're somewhere, and I gashed one of my tires in the sidewall.
You're over
So
in
we're
the
on the
50 somewhere. You're on 50 or 51 or something. You're over in the 50 somewhere on the left side of the park.
Yeah, we're over in the 50s. I gashed a tire in the sidewall. I had some plugs. I threw some plugs in it, some air in it. We let the 50s came back down. When I got back to the trailer, it was flat. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Bradley was the one that he was busting my balls so much about. Hey, he even called me a little bitch at one point because I wasn't trying to fix it the next morning.
I said you're being like our sister Brian.
Yeah. Anyway, so I finally said, screw it. Let's do this. And I shoved like 25 tire plugs in this gash. I used D. White's. He had a little fire starter for his Commando Joe. I'm over there heating up my tire and the plugs using a rock, smoothing out the plugs, trying to make this thing seal up. It's sealed up.
Oh, man.
And we went riding, and I had to put air in it like one time on the trails. And I'm like, this thing's actually holding. And that's when Saturday night happened with Bradley and the Trail Ninja. So,
Wait, do you call your XJ the Trail Ninja?
No.
Oh, okay. That just threw me off. So my bad.
Nope, I know where this is going.
so when Bradley decided to take his rear axle out from underneath the Jeep, everyone was done. They didn't want to ride anymore. Well, we're already, I don't know, 20-something beers in at this point again. And so Bradley's like, I'm not ready to quit riding. I'm like, well, let's just go. So we hop in my Jeep.
Left
with the
my
brand new
junk
water pump.
splattered in the middle of Trail 41, and I was like, "Bart, you got any passengers in there?" He's like, "Nope." I said, "I'm getting in. We going riding."
So that's whenever, and we didn't even think about this at the time. Now the next morning we go, "What the hell were we doing?" I've got a tire that's got a gash in it. I've got a drive shaft. We did a 110 flux core weld on, a brand new water pump because my relay was working, and everyone else is like, "We're going back to camp." Me and Bradley hit, I don't know how many trails.
A bunch.
And just beating the crap out of the ZJ. And it just kept taking it. The whole damn time, though, I'm asking Bradley, I said, hey, is there still air in that rear tire? He goes, yeah. No, we get back to camp. The tire's flat. we done knocked the plugs out of it. It ain't hold no more air. So
it was completely flat, like 100% flat. The thing is, I mean, the thing's wide. And every single time he would ask me, I'd look out the window and I'd be like, "Yep, looks good to me." I couldn't see the bulge of the sidewall that's sticking 6 inches out beyond the tire.
we're coming down Area 51, down one of the trails in Area 51. And it's steep as shit.
Coming down the meat of it. That is the meat of Area 51.
And I'm sure going, is the tire good? Because I mean, that could make a difference how the Jeep handles or not. Who knows?
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, the tire's good. And all of a sudden I'm like, I reach over, I grab my shoulder harnesses, and he goes, oh shit, we doing this? I said, oh, strap up, buddy.
We did it though, all by ourselves.
So even though with all the failures I had, with a brand new or a junkyard, engine that was just put in. I made the full ride, and somehow or another it held up with a lot of band-aids. So
Yeah.
I actually I think I went where everybody else went. I think I was left out of a couple trails because of whatever, but hey, we had a good time.
We sure did. And we did pretty much everything you were not supposed to do when it comes to wheeling on Saturday night. Don't wheel by yourself, especially don't do anything sketchy. And what did we do? We
Hey,
did.
you guys were together though, at least, you know. So if you're gonna die,
yeah.
make it a holiday at least, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, man, a good date on the calendar, you know?
Exactly.
So we did it.
What actually happened to your Jeep? Like, what went on? Like, I know you snapped off a few things and like I don't know, like threw a coil over to the side.
We've
or
kind of been
something,
teasing about it the entire time.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and like preface this.
Bradley, you got to start from the very beginning.
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So who's older? We got to start there. Who's older?
I'm older than him. Our sister's older than us. So.
Okay, so sister's born.
He's gonna be so pissed. He's gonna
Hold on. Let me get from the beginning. Sister's born starts with the B.
Yep.
Bart is born starts with a B. Right?
Yep.
Bart's first. Yep.
Yeah,
and then
I was
Brad.
the accident.
Okay. Oh, sweet. Me too. All right. We'll skip ahead a few years. So then, this weekend you show up. What's the vibe? You happy to go wheeling? You're already drunk. Well, truck's upside down. What's the, we said start from the beginning. So.
Oh yeah, I mean everything was good. Between the last time I wheeled, like a month or so before that, took it out. Everything was good. All I did over that time is I touched up a few welds that I found that were cracked. Did a bolt check like I always do, and that was about it. And get to AOP. Everyone's having a good time. I'm having a good time. We go wheeling. Fast forward a few days. Saturday night comes around. I had a lot of Miller Lights and seltzers and hot dogs and Tippy Cow and all that. And we're like, hey, let's go around Trail 41. I guarantee I've been up Trail 41 100 times. Easy. And so I'm leading. I forgot to back up just a smidge. Luke said, "Hey man, do you mind if I hop in with you?" I'm like, "Of course, I'll just hop in. I don't care. You throw your cooler in the back. It don't make no difference to me." So we're cruising up through there. I'm hauling ass like I always do. Shoot down 41. Get up to the hard section. I don't always take the hard section. Just kind of depends on the mood I am. But like I said, hot dogs and Miller Lite, Tippy Cow make you do some stuff you don't always think you do. So get up to this hard section, and I'm giving it to it. Bart said I was hitting 2-step, and I was going up it and just sliding right back down. And I did it one time, and I heard nothing when I slid to the bottom. No pops, no nothing. And I looked out the window, and window. Don't really have a window. Looked out the door. Looked back.
Mine had windows too.
Oh, did I? Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Anyways, looked out the door, and I put it back in first gear, and I started to give it gas, and I heard Bart's yelling at me on the radio, "You're broke, you're broke, you're broke." And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I look out the window, no tires are spinning. And I'm like, oh, well, no rear tires are spinning. I'm like, okay, yeah, broke a drive shaft, something like that. So I go ahead and just decide I'm going to go ahead and gas on this thing and see if I can pull up out of it. No, that was the wrong answer. And so we all got out and we go over there, and I couldn't remember at the time, my 4-link cross member in the rear was still somewhat.
It was still there.
No,
it was broke the link.
No, the link didn't. Well, the link did break, but the cross member was still somewhat there. It was
that's
up.
what I thought.
It was still up, but it was broke, and yeah.
Yeah, so the cross member, my 4-link cross member in the rear, was still somewhat attached to something. I don't know. I didn't really look. So I guess we decided we were going to try to winch it out, and I guess
hold up. You missed a very important part.
Oh, yeah. So during all this, we're sitting there, poking at it, stuff like that, looking at it, telling jokes, drinking beer. My passenger disappeared. Just
Fucking trail
completely
ninja.
trail ninja. Like,
And I got to apologize. I was fucking in it.
Oh my god!
I was really surprised that they didn't come and like the trail ninja just like take all my beer and just like roll out or something. Like everything seemed to be still there. Like trail ninja gone, vanished. He put on his black suit, his little bandana around his eyes, gone. If it would have been Mortal Kombat, someone would have gotten finished.
All I know is that we're sitting here looking at the carnage, and all of a sudden it's like, where'd he go?
Where'd Luke go? Where did Luke go?
Very Luke thing.
Oh, shit.
Luke got out and saw what was broke and was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Bart said he could see him running off in the woods.
I do apologize for that. I wasn't going down and talking with people because, like, I was just conversation at that point. And then fucking Sam was like, "Hey, you were supposed to ride with me, or where did you go?" And I was like, "I was up there." We went to go up the side, and then it just ended up. He took off. I was there, and I probably should have just said, "Fucking let me out," but I went wheeling.
I mean,
Apologize.
It is what it is, man. But what ended up happening after that is we did attempt to winch it out. I guess I don't remember what the conversation was at the time. If we thought it was drivable the way it was, if we could just limp it out, if we could be winched, and or what the deal was. But we started to winch it.
You did winch it up to a more. We got it out of the hard spot over to the bunny slope, and that's when I was gonna. That's when I hooked up the Bubba strap, and I was gonna pull you. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I started pulling, I heard everyone screaming, "No, no, no!" The axle went from being the axle went from, or the tire went from being into the rear, like where the door would be, to it's at the back bumper, about to come out from underneath the Jeep.
Yeah, like it was for real, like leaving chat status, like it was about to go.
Well, that's when the cross member fell down more, and it caught a rock, and we're pulling the Jeep, and the cross member was like, "No, I'm not going with y'all."
No. So basically, two link mounts, the upper link mount and the lower link mount on the passenger side, were sitting on the ground. Like they completely broke off from the frame. And at that point, we were all standing there kind of looking at it. I said, there's no reason to ruin the night we're having trying to mess with this anymore. There's only one thing that's going to fix that, and it's a welder. There's nothing we can do to this thing to get it out without tearing everything up. So that's when I hopped in with Bart, and Brian decided that he and his old lady were going to go back to camp and go to bed, and I guess that just left me and you, right, Bart? There was no one else with us, basically. So it was just like, we're going to keep riding. So I was like, so we cruised on out of 41, and I said, fuck it. Keep going straight. Hit upper 41. I already got it all mapped out in my head. We're going to hit some good shit. And that's when it started raining, and we still just kept riding.
I forgot about that. It did rain. We got wet, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was whenever everyone else left, and me and him kept partying with my broke-ass Jeep.
Yeah, with no air in the tire. So we wheeled. I think we ended up wheeling. It was probably still 2:00 in the morning. We came back down the mountain, and Jonathan and Casey were still at the pavilion, weren't they? And we sat there and talked to them for a while.
That was the same night that some dude walked out of the woods and needed his junk flipped back over, wasn't it?
No, that was the night before. If I remember right.
Yeah, that was Friday night because I drove my junk up to that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We stayed at the pavilion. That's what Jonathan's got my Yeti koozie because we sat out there and hung out at the pavilion.
Yeah, we hung out there for a while, and finally, I think at one point it's like, hey, we got some work to do in the morning, so I think it may be time to go to bed. And that could have easily been 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So we didn't
So
we didn't
we were
quit.
down there.
Yeah, we didn't quit. We ain't quitters. So,
No. To basically take a rear axle out from underneath the Jeep and then hop in a broke Jeep and keep riding in the rain. No, we definitely know how to do it.
yeah. So I guess what ended up happening after that, next morning, we get up. I don't even know if we made breakfast or anything like that. And we cleaned up, and the first thing I'm thinking about is, okay, I've got to start getting some supplies ready, straps, welder, generator, and got all this stuff. We got most of it loaded up in the back of Casey's Comanche. Luckily, we did have a truck there. That made that super easy to be able to load stuff in the back of that. And went up there and basically cleaned off the frame the best we could and welded those link mounts back on good enough to drive out. I think, let's see, Brian, I think, towed me part of the way, all the way up to the top of 1 or 2, Trail 2. Towed me up all the way to the top of Trail 2, and we unhooked the strap, and I drove it the rest of the way out. But ended up being honestly, I haven't even looked at the thing since I unloaded it off the trailer, since I got it home. At least one coilover shaft was broken. A lower eyelet was broken on the other coilover. Probably at least one lower spring, maybe 2 lower springs. They got pretty beat up. So I've got to get my coilovers rebuilt and
Hey, give Radflow a call. I don't know if you remember us talking at the pavilion, but I had a air shock go through a fire, which was caused by me, and they sent me a seal kit for it and some extras like stuff, Schrader valve and
yeah.
backs and everything, and I had it in 3 days.
Yeah. I haven't decided if I'm going to attempt to do it myself or just take them up to Wide Open Design and drop them off and say whatever's wrong on them, make them right. I haven't quite decided that. They're obviously they're off the Jeep. We had to take them off to get it off the trail, but it's just a matter of me taking them somewhere or putting them up on the workbench and figuring it out. I've just been so busy with other stuff here lately that haven't really had time to think about the Jeep, and now here we are. We got a ride most likely coming up in July, or that date is to be determined, and it's like, oh damn, I've got work to do now, so I've got to get it back up and running. I hate having something that's broke, so it's just one of those things. Got to get in and dig my hands into it at some point.
I've got a 4-hour round trip to go get my tire vulcanized.
If you want to trade jobs, I will happily do that with you.
No, I'm good with my. They said it costs $80 to have my tire vulcanized. I'm definitely good with that.
That's not
I
that
talked
bad.
to the guy with Diddy's Big Block Race Shop. He does a lot of coilover tuning and rebuilding and stuff, and he said that a shock shaft alone is $100.
Jeez.
So, yeah, then I think he said like a lower eyelet's like $40. So I mean, you're already looking at $140 for minimum just to get the few things that are broken on them taken care of. But springs will have to be.
Yeah, the passenger rear springs, so those summits are foobarred.
Yeah, I think they are. At least the bottom one is done, I would say. The upper one may be okay. Yeah, I'd say that the bottom one is most likely done. The upper is probably okay, but the bottom one, I'd say it's pretty safe to say that thing is done. But it's crazy because that 4-link had been in that Jeep for literally probably 4 years, and I don't know if it was 2-3 months ago, I found one crack in one of the welds that holds that cross member to the frame, and I was like, I better fix that. So I actually did. I ground out the weld, gouged it out real good, burned it in real hot. Everything was good. Didn't even paint it. I didn't want to see. I wanted to be able to tell if it cracked again. And I don't know what it looked like before we hit Trail 41. I would assume that it was probably already hurt, but it is what it is. I mean, it happened. So got to make it right at some point.
So what's the plan for making that thing right?
basically everything we did on the trail to get it out needs to be undone. So every bit of welding that we did to get it together needs to be unwelded. So I'm going to cut everything out, all the welds out that we welded in there, cut all them out, redo that half of the cross member, and then I'll probably just beef up my original design, which it was tied into the cage in the center. So it wasn't a slouch. It just didn't have any support front to rear out close to the frame. So
Okay.
it just needs some more strength around the frame area, really.
So you think it just
Because the frame
sheared
was
sorta off, or
yeah,
hit
because the
its
frame was
front to
the
back
frame
enough
was
that
yeah. So the frame was undamaged. It ripped welds in half and everything clear off the frame.
Huh.
And I think mostly it was not enough support front to back. About, if I were to say, 6 inches inside of the frame, that's probably the area that needs some support front to rear, both sides.
makes
So,
sense.
on that note, would it be possible to run a piece of dom through the frame rail, and then tie the inner and the outer sections of the frame rail together with like a sandwich plate around that dom?
I wouldn't think that that's not out of the question. It could possibly happen. The cross member itself is 2x6 quarter wall, and it was
Yeah.
all welded. It was all welded to the inside of the frame. So if you possibly could do that, yeah. I'm gonna, whatever I do, I'll have to get underneath it and start, doing some cardboard aided design and stuff. But
Let me
I'm gonna have to
know.
get underneath it, and I will make it to the point where it won't fail again, because I don't ever leave. If I have something break, I'd never leave a weak point from where it broke. So I'll get underneath there and I'll plan something out, and I'll get it. Way stronger than it was before.
Yeah, when you break something, you're definitely going to upgrade what you broke to make it better.
Yeah,
So it doesn't happen
without
again.
question. Without question. I don't believe in fuses. I want everything to be as strong as it possibly can.
Well, keep me in the loop on that, because I think that where I'm working, they're going to be scrapping some 1.5 by, I want to say, 180 dom.
Yeah.
So what we could do would be I could set up a CNC program and run a whole pattern, cut off some stuff in a lathe, and then have whatever the width of that is, plus the extension outside of the frame rail to a tie-in plate that you could just cut to fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean nothing's out of the question at all. It's just one of those things. I got to take the time and roll underneath that thing. Which I was another thing too is I was pretty sketched out, because I don't have like hydro bumps. I have some big rubber cushy, or maybe they poly, but they're super cushy big bump stops, and those things are set up whenever that thing's at full bump. It's about a half inch from the transmission cooler, because the transmission cooler is mounted through the floor in the back, and it is like literally about a half inch from the cooler. And I was a little sketched out driving that, because it's a Griffin high dollar trans cooler, and it's
Yeah,
like,
you don't
if
want
this
to mess
thing
that up.
if this thing destroys this transmission cooler, I will be pissed, because oh man, that I would have been more pissed about that than I would have been the coilovers.
Yeah, that Griffin stuff's no joke. How much does that cost?
I want to think that cooler itself, cooler with a fan and shroud and everything, was probably like in the $500 range. But
God damn.
the thing is no joke. I mean, it keeps it cool.
It's definitely an airplane when it kicks on, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps it cool. It keeps everything in check, and it is airplane, and it's kind of cool because the fan points straight down at the ground, so it just blows up kicks up a little dust storm too. So
Hey, as long as it keeps the liquid cool, then it's doing its job and it's worth the money, honestly.
yeah, because I had problems. I was running like a Dural transmission cooler with a fan on it, and I think it had like an 8-inch fan, and I was overheating that transmission super easy. And I stepped it up to this one, which has a 12-inch fan on it, and it's a Spall fan. If y'all know anything about Spall fans, they're the best there is, really. And that thing is the 12-inch fan is bigger than one of the fans on my engine. So
Wow.
it's definitely no joke. It's
And I'm
what it needed.
I'm running a D-roll on mine, but I've got mine under the hood. And if I'm beating on mine really really hard, I'll my trans get every bit of 220. Um, but that doesn't happen often. I think that the draw that I'm running, if I had it not under the hood, it'd work just fine. And I think my draw is a little bit bigger than the one that you had, right, Bradley?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Yes. I mean, mine's a good size, cooler assembly, but being under the hood with the headers and everything, I probably need to move it.
Would wrapping
Yeah,
the
that's
headers help?
I thought about that, and I would like to probably try to do that. But knowing me, I'm probably just going to say screw it until something breaks, and then I'll make the change.
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
that.
I've never seen a huge difference in wrapping headers myself. Like I wrap like all my downpipe and everything that runs right next to the floorboard. It still gets stupid hot. I mean, crazy hot. So I don't know how much of a difference it makes. It does help keep fires at bay on it. If you get, power steering, transmission fluid or something like that, it does help with that. But
I need it then.
yeah, you do.
Really, that helps
But
it? I would have thought it would kind of be the opposite, and not that it would catch on
it's
fire, but it would sort of just
it's
soak it
like
in.
it does soak in there and it'll keep burning, but it's almost like the fire does not get as big and as flash nearly as much
Hmm.
whenever
Okay.
it happened to me. I got transmission fluid on my downpipe and it burst into flames and it was not nearly as big as I've seen other fires on exhaust from transmission fluid or power steering fluid.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's definitely good information. It'll keep a rig in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad whenever you see one burn. It's not the kind of
Probably
weekend you
one of the
want.
worst. At least with the roll, there's a cool story to it, but there's never a cool
Yeah.
story when it's like, yeah, I lost a hydro line and lost the Jeep.
Yeah. And
Just
completely
stupid
lost it.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you think about like power steering coolers and power steering pumps and all that stuff that runs right next to exhaust. It's just like, dude, I mean, the potential is always there.
Yep.
So on a more upbeat note, with the ZJ, what did you end up doing? Because we're on the subject of headers. For the headers, are they like Novox or?
So the donor Jeep I got was a TJ, and the guy had already welded in the frame side mounts and had the engine side. I'm not sure I don't even know what actual kit it was, but it was the LS swap kit for a TJ. So they are shorty center dump headers. So whenever I fabricated everything, there's nothing out there for ZJs that I know of. And I think after I got on a few Facebook pages, there's some people that are starting to possibly make some production stuff for ZJs for LS swaps. But me and my buddy basically made our own frame side mounts. And when we did it, we basically dropped the engine in with the headers already on it. And we made the frame side mounts with the Novak engine mounts on it, which has just a plate, a little lag bolt, and a puck, or whatever. And we made my frame side mounts. I mean, you really couldn't do it any better because I can pull off the intake, unbolt the transmission, and I can pull my engine in and out with the headers on it. But they are shorty center dumps.
Okay. I was curious about that because that was something that like back when I had a ZJ, I was thinking about because I had the 5.2 in it and I had some ECM problems with the VATs that
Mm-hmm.
just kept coming back and it was like cutting short in the purple door wire and I never found any info on that and I scrapped that rig so it just slipped my mind.
Or was it engine to shut off?
Yeah, it would run for like 45 seconds and then they would just die.
Yeah. Well, Chrysler had a big problem with ECMs, whether it was a Jeep or a Dodge or whatever. and they had a lot of problems with them just shutting off like that, and it was internal ECM problems for what I remember. And my 4 liter had the same problem. Sometimes it would run, like you said, 45 seconds and it'd shut off, or sometimes it'd run 2 hours and all of a sudden it just shut off. And I'd get out there and I'd wiggle the connectors on ACM and it'd fire back up and go.
Which, thank you for reminding me I have to go and replace the zip tie on mine. So,
It happens.
yeah,
Zip tie in your ECM to hold the plugs in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
Hey, that's had 4 different engines in it. That harness has been in and out multiple times, so it's not as tight as it once was. And it needs a zip tie on there.
Oh, yeah.
That's something else. God damn.
Your sloppy ECMs.
Oh, yeah. Worn out even.
Tire question, Cody. Hit us with that.
I was just getting into it. So usually I ask this question to people who are running DOTs. Anytime I ask it to people who are running stickies, their answer is always kind of skewed. But what is your favorite DOT tire? And what's your most hated DOT tire?
Well, I only ran the Nitto 40-inch DOT tire. Before that, I ran on 35s. Hell, I forgot.
Firestone, Destination MTs, and you ran some BFG KM whatevers.
The
Mudtrains.
KM3s, yeah.
KM2s, KM3s, something like that.
I ran 2 different 35s, and then I went to the 40s with the Nittos, and I really don't have any comparison since I only ran that one set of 40 inches, and I went to the 43 stickies. But so you really can't compare the two of what I have on tons. But it's definitely going from a 40-inch DOT to a 43 non-DOT. It's a completely different ballgame. But you can't. I really don't have much comparison on stuff like that.
So what you're saying is your favorite DOT tire is a Thornbird?
Yeah.
Oh hell no. Oh man.
No, I don't have one. I mean, I thought the Nittos worked great. I was running the Trograps, and I thought they were great. But when I went to the 43 Mickeys, that was a complete game changer. So, I didn't run 2 different set of 40-inch, DOTs to actually have any comparison. Yeah, I think Bradley's kind of in the same situation.
I really did like my Coopers when I had them. I thought they were a great tire. They were great on road. Because if you're talking DOD tires, you got to think about at least what they do on the street too, because it's what they're for. But my Coopers soft, which I was always surprised I never cut a sidewall down on them, but I like those tires. I really did. I would consider putting them on a different rig. I mean, not the same rig I got now, but one day I would consider that tire again for sure.
That's how I'm feeling. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, good. I cut one of the 40 Nittos at Hot Springs. Just hit a rock just right, and I busted a sidewall in one of those 40-inch Nittos. But I mean, those tires did do good when you go from a 35 to a 40.
You're the first person I've heard of cutting one of them. Like that we've talked with directly, I should say. Every tire has or gets cuts, but that's kind of impressive. Mine have.
Well, if you're running that low of pressure and you hit a rock just right, anything's possible. You know.
You can hit a flat rock and slice one. I've done that.
Yeah.
And I remember the trail, and when we were there, when me and John Moore were there for New Year's, we hit the same trail. As soon as I get to the top of it, I go in my mind, I go, oh shit, this is where I cut a 40 last time I was here. And I'm on 43 Mickeys, and I was like, so I was taking it real easy, making sure I didn't hit that same rock and do it to 43. And then lo and behold, I do it to one at AOP, so I mean, anyway, it sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, the tire lottery is sometimes not it can be harsh.
It's not a winning game.
You have to at least follow it up with what your most hated DOT tire is.
Me?
Yeah. That was his question. He says, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite DOT tire?
He words it the
Yep.
worst possible way every time, and it
Then
confuses people,
suck
but it's
my
fine.
fucking ass, Graham. I don't know how else you want me to literally word it.
Your
Do I
least
have to
favorite and
spell it
most
out?
favorite? I don't know. Like most favorite and most
what
hated
tire
is
do you
just
hate?
harsh.
What tire do you fucking like? I don't
There you
fucking
go.
know.
My,
Jesus.
I never ran them. Patagonias.
I can tell you that they suck.
Yeah, they do. There's no doubt about that. Those tires do suck. And it's like I
Are they
think I
not-
said whenever y'all ask me, the only people that say that they like those tires are the people that are getting paid to run them. There's no doubt about it.
Aren't they producing a non-DOT Patagonia now?
They are. Yeah, black
They have
label.
been. I could
It
see
still
them
sucks.
working out west. That's the
Yeah.
only place that I could see them working. Because, like, I ran them in New England, and it was just a constant series of letdowns and watching Cody's taillights while I'm on 40s and he's got 35s.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, as far as Patagonias go, it really surprised me. Matt with Bleeping Jeep, he put some on his Scorpion, and I'm like, dude, do you not realize where you wheel at? And you put, because you probably were giving them, he's giving some Patagonias, and you literally put them on those, and you live 30 minutes from Windrock Park. It's like, dude, that ain't going to end well. But
No.
That was only a sponsor just to get that Jeep back on the trail for whatever he went, and he's about to make that Scorpion phenomenal with that rear steer, and you already know he's going to a different tire.
yeah, I would hope that he would, but he just put them on literally 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's a good thing about sponsors.
Yeah,
I was gonna
man.
say,
He took Treps off. He took Treps off and put Pats on. Like what?
That's rough.
Oh,
What?
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
That
if you're
ripped
getting
us all.
paid, it changes it. Like, even if they suck, you're still getting paid to run them for a free set of tires. It's hard to complain about that.
I don't know if you could pay
Yeah.
on tires like that
yeah,
though.
Matt. If you're listening to this, you
Exactly.
know we still love you, buddy.
Yeah, we love you, buddy, but you shouldn't have put them tires on your rig because they suck.
I don't know. I haven't seen anybody run the stickies. So, to be fair, I can't really talk shit about them. I've only seen people
Josh.
run the.
Greenleaf.
No, I don't think he ran
again.
Pat
I haven't.
stickies.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
he did.
Pat
Yeah, he
Stickies.
did.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And he ripped 2 sidewalls and ripped them right off.
Yee.
But again,
Yeah, you know they're no different. You know the sidewalls are probably no different. It's probably just the compound's different.
yeah, most likely.
And that would be the
But
only
carcass
saving
is probably the
grace
same.
if the compound was like magic, like a crawler compound that
Yeah.
doesn't even need tread to function somehow.
Yeah.
So
I think
I
the
don't
only
know.
way you could make them work is if you were to cut out like the center of the tread blocks all the way around that tire, almost like an Athena cut or Etna cut.
well, if you just made all those sipes on the thing way more aggressive, like you might be able to get something out of it, but you're probably cutting half the tire off.
Yeah, but if the sidewall sucked that bad, you're probably not saving it. So,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Milestar, if you're listening to this, I'm terribly sorry. If you were thinking about sponsoring these people,
We wouldn't take it. We wouldn't
I don't think it's
take
going to
it.
work out.
I don't think they were considering sponsoring.
No, I think we've shit talked them enough that it's just
Every time Cody asks the question, it's always
Yep.
Patagonias.
so they're definitely
the
not
easy
sponsoring
punching
me
bag.
because I'm just egging people on to talk shit about Patagonias at this point.
And I'm pretty sure Luke's out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single time that we have asked that question, I think the only time we've gotten a different answer was Dunlops. And who even runs a Dunlop MT?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm going to pick up my new set of Dunlops. It's like, what, bro?
Dunlop.
Why? Don't do that.
The Patagonia for off road is equivalent to running a BFG KO2 into a mud field.
Yeah.
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 It's crap.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it ain't gonna work like that.
So Bart, give us something that you did to your rig that you kind of wish you didn't. Like something that you had to change up a few too many times, or something that you just not too stoked on. Was it starting with the ZJ platform probably entirely, or?
Honestly,
No, I'm actually happy about having a ZJ because of what I've done to it. That people, I get a lot of feedback from people. It's like, damn man, it's a cool rig, or damn, you got a ZJ and you did this to it. Well, that goes back to the fact that I bought it for $300. I've got money to put into this Jeep.
Hmm.
I didn't start out with a damn JK or some shit that already paid 50 grand for, and now I've got to put another 30 into it to make it willable. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with the ZJ. I think if you're asking me at this point right now, after I've gone to an LS, at this point, I wish I left the 5.9 in it. Because I had a year and a half to 2 years on 43s with the 5.9, and the only thing I ever did was do a bolt check. I greased my CTMs, and I went wheeling. So
Yep.
the LS right now for me is the thing that I shouldn't have done. If there was anything else before that, I wish I had more time and space to have done a few things differently as far as suspension when it comes to control arms and how I did mounts and things like that. Some of my mounts I'm still not happy with. I screwed up on the rear upper link mounts on the axle,
Mm-hmm.
and so during certain situations off road, my control arms, or actually my jam nuts, will actually contact my truss. And so whenever it does that so many times, it loosens the jam nut, and I'll get some some bumping, some thumping, and stuff like that. So it's real small things. There's a lot of things I still need to upgrade. I need to change as far as like my cross member, my trans cross member. I've definitely got to change it. My belly height isn't big enough or tall enough. So there's a few things, but for the most part, I should have never went to us. That 5.9 was doing work. It was lacking power, but I never had an issue getting up any trail. I mean, if as long as it wasn't something stupid or it wasn't too slick, the Jeep went.
So, if you were looking at it from coming from a 4-liter to going to an LS, would that have been a different story for you?
I don't know.
Yeah. Power is addicting. So if you were going from a 4-liter to an LS, I think you'd be happier with where you're at. But whenever I went from a 4-liter to an LS, I was in the same situation Bart was with his 5.9. I was like super reliable, never had an issue, bolt check and go wheeling. I could just about go wheeling every weekend and never have an issue. And I knew that going into my LS swap, I'm like, I could potentially start having problems now. Thankfully, I haven't with the LS, but it's like you have to trade off something. Do you want more power, or do you want to just still be reliable? And just it's a trade off. You just never really know. But I'm definitely happier with an LS than I was with the 4-liter because I love the power. The power, even though it's not much power, because it's still just a 5.3, but it's very nice to have the extra power there.
So I got two things on that. One, my stock 5.3 stock camshaft whooped your ass in the drag race, and two,
It did, yeah.
It did. And so I would have to say the power difference of a 5.9 and a 5.3, even a stock 5.3, there's a big difference. And I'd have to say as long as I can keep that 5.3 together, I'll be happy with it. I'm still a little pissed that it went through 4 engines and I ended up with a stock 5.3.
Yeah.
But there's no question when I had that was engine number 2, the stage 3 cam on a Holly system when it was tuned right. I had a guy do a remote tune on it. He connected to a laptop remotely. He set this so much up like a damn drag car. It was fucking rowdy. Like it was nasty rowdy. The 2-step was on point. Everything was. There's no question the 5.3 makes tremendous more power than the 5.9.
How is setting up a crawler like a drag car beneficial to crawling?
It's not. I did not ask for that.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think he actually knew what the application was. I think this guy, and he's local in my area, West Tennessee. he just tunes. That's what he does. Is he tunes for power. That's what he does for a living. And so I didn't give him specifications. Hey man, I need this and this and this. I was just happy that he was willing to do a remote tune because he is about an hour away from me, but it's still West Tennessee. And so I was just happy he was willing to do it because I wasn't familiar with the Holly system enough to tune it where it needed to be. And so, of course, when we're sitting there in my shop and he's doing a remote tune and we're revving it up, it's like, man, damn, this so much is rowdy, And then we take off on the road, and I had some shitty ass wheels and tires on the rear axle, and we take off out on the road and start doing burnouts. I'm like, man, this thing is hot, excited as shit, not thinking about how that computed to being off road on a trail, and the throttle was so touchy. You hit one small little pebble. You know how it makes you lunge forward, your foot lunges, and all of a sudden you hit the throttle, and you're, oh, dude. It felt like I was doing wheelies out there on the trail whenever I hit a small rock, because it was just, it had so much power. There was no torque management whatsoever. And so, I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway.
You're good.
Yeah.
That's
So
how would you
Oh,
tune
sorry.
that out of it? I mean, I guess make the pedal less sensitive. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
about
what I
tuning
was thinking.
LSs.
It's a fueling and timing, and down low on the Holly system. If I knew more about it, I could comment more. But basically, the fueling and timing in low RPMs was tuned too hot. Basically, is what it was.
Yep.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Now, you could leave the fueling and timing where it was at, and you could add some torque management to pull some out.
Yep.
But since on a Holly system, there's no torque management in that. If you tune it where you're just getting basically max power all time, I mean, it just is what it is.
Yep.
Now, this is another weird one. With that Holly system, was it drive-by-wire or was it drive-by cable?
Mine was drive-by-cable. There are Holly systems you can do drive-by-wire. Mine was set up by cable.
All right. I was just curious about that because even with my setup, I've noticed that like getting back into it when I'm just cruising around on the trail, I'm bumping it a little bit hard, not meaning to.
That's
And
because your
then when
gearing
I'm,
isn't low enough with the manual.
I don't think that it matters that
No, it
much on like
does.
blues and
It
greens when you're
does.
just cruising
Everything,
around.
every little thing. With
Are
the
you running a
manual,
Holly
you-
system?
No, I'm running a factory 4-liter. I'm putting information together for
Oh, okay.
eventually I'd like to do an LS.
Are
you know,
I mean, are you thinking about the Holly system?
I was, yeah, because I know a couple of people that have experience tuning it, so I was, but hearing your results, that's not ideal.
Well, my thing is, and I've told this to many people, and I can't sit there and 100% bash Holly because I'm an old school tech. I'm looking at scan tool data because that's what I do for a living. I can look at scan tool data, look at O2 sensors, and things like that, and I can read data and understand what the engine's doing. With the Holly system, I had the Terminator X, is it runs a single wideband O2 sensor, or wideband, not O2 sensor. Anyways, but they tell you to put it X amount of inches from the collector in a single bank. Well, that
what about the
means
other
that
bank?
my point exactly is that if something happens on the other bank, the wideband don't pick that up. So if you have a misfire or if an injector sticks on the other bank, it doesn't pick it up. So you have no idea something's going on, and you can have issues with the engine, which is what I think possibly happened on engine number 2. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Holly on the Terminator, you can possibly add in a second, but I do know I can't get them all. I don't get them all confused. I think the Dominator is a system that actually comes with 2 widebands, one for each bank.
Didn't they have Oh, sorry.
But I think the Terminator is set up for a 4-cylinder or 8-cylinder, and that's why it only comes with one. The Dominator is set up, I think, for 8 cylinders.
Because I thought they had a kit that basically you could plug and play into the LS engine wiring
Dominator.
harness.
That
That's
was
the
the Dominator.
Dominator.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Dominator is the 999 one that they call their like all-in-one kit that you can LS swap anything as long as you're putting a manual transmission behind it.
Yeah,
So
that's the one that I was looking at because I would like to keep my manual.
Definitely, I'm running, manual, basically manual anyway. But definitely do a little more research on it. If you got someone to help tune it, I I don't have a problem with it. It just wasn't my thing, So
Mhm.
that's why I went standalone. And I had a GM ECM laying around, so it wasn't an issue for me to get a standalone harness and run that, which is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, but it's also like you were just talking about. It's not that hard to go and buy a standalone wiring harness, send the computer out, get the VATs and the stuff that you don't need turned off, and turn that into a standalone.
Well, I
Um,
mean, what's my shot, or since I have access to it, I've got HP tuners, so it wasn't an issue for me to turn off VATs, turn off the rear O2s and stuff like that. And I forgot what company I used. I really can't remember, but I did
Something
several.
like current electric or something.
Mm, I don't know. I had to look it up. I can get back to you
Current
on that.
performance. Yeah, there is a really
Something
good fuse
performance,
panels.
but they
Yeah,
came. Their cellular harness came, and you can when you get on their website, you can put in everything you want. Alternator on this side, O2 sensors here, and they will custom make it for your rig, and it automatically comes with the relay box for cooling fans, fuel pump, ECM, all the stuff you need. And all you got to do is basically hook up the power wire, and then you hook up one wire to your fuel pump, one wire to, cooling fans, whatever. That company there is good, and the customer service is great. I had an
it
issue
is. It
with,
is current electric, and
is
they're an
it
American based company. They're not Chinese harnesses or nothing. They're made here.
right? So I had an issue with terminals pushing out of my O2 sensor connector, and I called them, and the owner of the company just responded. So excuse me, his email. He responded back, "I'm so sorry you're having a problem. I'm sending out extra terminals, extra connectors, blah blah." And I was like, "Well, I'm glad to know that y'all are taking care of me. I guess I should have told you about my alternator being on the passenger side versus the driver side." He goes, "Don't worry about that. I'm sending you an extension for that as well," and completely took care
wow,
of me, no charge.
wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, so there's definitely benefits going standalone if you can get a factory ECM, and there's probably more people out there that can tune with HP tuners than there is Holly. But not to say it's different, but Holly is set up for speed density. So I was running speed density on the Holly system, and on the GM, of course, I didn't do that. I ran with the regular mass airflow sensor, but so you can look at a lot of different things and the differences of those two systems, and I'm happy to have two O2 sensors versus a single wideband. I'm happy to have a mass airflow because now I can get trouble codes. The Holly
Yeah,
system, you don't have trouble codes. You've got like 4 or 5 little LEDs that blink at you, and they tell you if your cam sensor doesn't work or your crank sensor doesn't work. They don't give you codes if you got a misfire or if you've got something that failed. So
that's
that
And
that's
weird.
that, yeah. I mean, Holly
that,
looks
that
at
that's
like
also
what, four sensors?
pretty much knock
Yeah,
sensors, cam crank, and temp, coolant
yeah.
temp. There's not much to it. So also, once again, that's just me being old school as a tech and looking at scan tool data because I work on vehicles for a living versus the Holly system. I just wasn't a fan. It's just not my thing.
yeah, but I can follow along, and it's good information for down the road. I don't foresee this happening all that quick. I've got other stuff that I need to do, like 35 spline outers and stickies and cool stuff first. And you know what? If I'm being honest, another 4 liters, what, $300?
Yeah, but an LS is 600, so maybe not a
Yeah, well,
six liter,
depending on
but
where
you can
you're
get
at.
yeah. Then again, that was in the old market too. But
Yeah, these
Yeah,
people
no,
on
it's
Facebook
still
right
around
now are
four,
stupid.
yeah. The
around here.
short
They're not
block,
too
the
bad.
aluminum short block that's in Bart's Jeep was what, 500 or 550 or something like that. It's probably the most expensive 5.3 short block in Middle Tennessee, and we
But
found
hey,
it.
Jeez.
you gotta do what you gotta do to make it to the meet and beat, man. So
That's right.
Wow. Oh, that's what you
Yeah,
put in.
Graham knows.
That's the only LS you could find was $5 grand.
Literally, no,
500.
500.
Oh,
It's
okay,
500.
okay. I was like,
No,
Yeah.
and the thing
No.
is, like, there's people with LSs on Facebook all the time, but they're wanting like $1,000, $1,200 and stuff, and it's a junkyard engine. They can't prove that it runs.
yep.
So it's like, why am I spending this on this shit? And you text them or you message them on Facebook, and it's like, hey man, you got a video of it running? No. Well, what's the mileage on it? Well, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Well, I'm not paying you $1,200 for an engine that you don't even know anything about. I mean, no, I'm good. So yeah, the LS market on Facebook has become stupid right now.
It's absolutely out of control. There's been plenty of people that have listed their high mileage 5.3s for $2,000, and I'll offer them $400-500, and I haven't gotten anyone to. Yeah, I haven't gotten anyone to take me up on it yet, but I'm waiting. One of these days.
What was that one dude that me and you both fucked with?
Yellow Boy Sutton. He had two
Yellow Boy
LSs.
Sutton.
He wanted
Yellow
two.
Boy,
He
you
had
listening,
two
man?
high
We
mileage.
still want those engines.
Yeah, he had two high mileage 5.3s, complete pullouts, harnesses and everything, and he wanted $4,000 for both of them. And I was like, "Hey, I tell you what, bud, I'll take both of these off your hands for $800." And he was like, "No, I ain't gonna do it. Like, I'll come and get them right now, like today. I'll take these from you right now."
Truck and trailer ready to go. Cash in.
Yeah,
hand.
ready to go.
There's so many people that want to go to a pick and pull and get an LS for what they sell them for, $200 or something at a pick and pull.
They sell them for $200 up here. Yeah,
right. So they want to go, and they're basically all it is hustling. They want to go pull an engine out. They're spending, which I do get it. They're spending the time to go do that, but they want to turn around and spend $200 to go do it themselves, and then try to flip it on Facebook Marketplace and make $1,000. And it seems stupid.
Yep.
Then again, I kind of get it because I picked up my '05 pluses for $250. I could turn around and sell them all day long for $500 and double my money. But
Right.
anybody else could. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead. No, you're right. I mean, the thing is I look at it also from the aspect that there's a local pick and pull here that whenever everything's picked off of it, besides the axles, when they pick up the body, they take a torch and cut the springs off, and there's a pile of axles out there. I can go get Sterling's 60s, Dana 50s if you want to go there. I can get those for $150 all day long, and I could flip them easy. But I'm not doing that. Just because you can, and I guess we can also say it's the JK market is the one that made them stupid. But I mean, be reasonable on it. And if you want to go and put in the work and you want to flip some shit, don't get stupid with the price. Make $100 or something. Don't do it just because people are going to buy it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know, man. Down the road, I do want to get more power, and I know power is addicting, but
Oh, it is.
yeah. I wouldn't mind a Pro Charger or a
Please
LSA
don't.
or
Please
something
don't.
like that.
Please don't.
Here.
Just stop.
I condone this. Let's do it.
Yeah, because I got whooped too many times in drag racing that it's like I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, you got your ass whooped by a fucking factory 5.3.
Dude, just get a pedal
Mine is
bike and it
basically factory. my gearing was really one of my big hindrances in the drag racing because I was 2/3 down the track and I was bouncing off the limiter in third. That was everything it had. I mean, there was nothing more I could give it.
That's when you were 4 low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we race in high range?
You were supposed
Man,
to.
you racing high range.
Yeah, and you still beat me. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's because you run that car intake. You lost so much torque.
Yeah, all that torque I lost from that car, that LS6 intake. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
what is your gearing? I forget. Don't you have like a 241 OR?
I do. Yeah, with 538s, which that 241, I do have an Atlas on order. So probably over the winter, that Atlas or the 241's coming out and the Atlas is going in. The 241 just got a brand new chain and sprockets put in it because I stretched the chain on the 241, but it is literally 100% as of right now.
I give you $200 for it.
Yeah, that's another thing that the price is doubled on. I paid $1,000 for that transfer case. People are selling them on Marketplace for $2,000
That was
plus.
ridiculous.
Are you joking? I was thinking
Oh,
about getting
no.
one, but $2,000. Eesh, I might as well get an Atlas at that point.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the
I
thing.
God
Is it-
damn.
It's the same thing with the salvage stuff with the business, is that they price salvage stuff just a few $100 less than a reman or something. Same thing with this. You can get a 241 and people are selling for $2,000 when you can get an Atlas for this much. Well, someone's like, well, I only got $2,000, so let me get a 241. And it's
Yep.
stupid how people are driving the price up on it just because they can sell it for that. And it's not. It's them stupid. People are driving the prices up just because they can. They know that
Yep.
someone's either going to take a 241 or an Atlas. Well, if I can get a 241 for cheaper, let's do it.
Well, the 241 is
exactly
also
what it
bolt in
is.
and uses all the factory shit, right? So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, they
Pretty
only
near,
But
yeah.
it's still a 20-year-old transfer case, or unless it's out of a JK, and it's
Mine's out of a
gonna have
JK.
problems. Yeah,
So yeah, it's about 14 years old. So yeah, I mean, you're still right there with it. Yeah.
I don't know if I could spend $2,000 on a
No.
14-year-old transfer
No.
case. That would probably need a
Whenever
chain.
I bought mine, it was like right around $1,000, and I was very comfortable doing that. I'm like, this is a good case. It's an upgrade from a 231. I have no problem with this. I can bolt it in a weekend, change. The drive shaft links are just barely different, at least in the rear. The front's pretty much the same, but I was like, this is a good deal. I mean, but if it would have been $2,000, yeah, you can count me out. I'd
Yeah.
keep rocking a 231 without a doubt. But like I said,
Hey,
anytime I break
I'm
something,
not-
I want to upgrade.
I'm running a
So-
231.
Yeah,
I love my
you are.
231.
You ain't stretched the chain yet, but
No, well, I did. Whenever I did the LS swap on the second engine, I was doing a burnout and something popped. So I did a fluid check on it, and the transfer case had metal all in it. So I pulled it out and couldn't find anything wrong. But I sourced another 231, got some parts out of it. I actually had, what was the GM transfer case? The GM 241?
the GM 241.
So I got the 6-pinion planetary and stuff out of it and put it in my 231. So I'm running a 6-pinion planetary and upgraded stuff in it. So my 231's not just a regular.
Yeah, did you do the
Three
wide
pinion.
chain and all that stuff too? There's a wider chain. I think it's out of a Durango or something.
Right.
Or whatever
So-
the Dodge. I think it's the Durango.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, sure, I'm still on 43s with the LS and I'm beating the crap out of a 231, but it's a little bit stronger than your factory Jeep 231.
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, the factory Jeep 231s honestly aren't even that bad. They're not great, and I'm never gonna
They-
say they're great, but they're not bad.
They're great.
might-
I'll say they're great. They're great transfer cases. I'll say it.
You keep them. You keep
No,
'em
I
full
beat
of
the
fluid,
crap out of mine.
and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Snapped the what was the weirdest one? I think it was when I snapped the front input setup. That was great, but you know, it cracked the case. The good part was there was another one sitting there for $120. So it was back up and running in less than a weekend. I mean, less than a day even. I think it was 6 hours on a trailer for me to swap that.
Yeah. Surprised it even took you that long, really.
We
6
were
hours to do a transfer case. Is that what you just said?
under Ducky, yeah.
Was Ducky
um,
like belly panned out or something that made it difficult?
Ducky had that funky cross member that was a bitch to get aligned and pull off.
Well, that's every cross member that comes out.
But basically, it had a big old bar that reconnected back to the frame rail, and it took all kinds of getting two jacks under there to get it lined up, and we weren't racing. It was Kish and myself doing it. So, you know, 6 hours while drinking beer and just casually doing it.
Makes sense.
Still feel like that's
Yeah.
way too much time. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But goddamn.
It's
Yeah.
a little long, but you know, wrong tools.
If you can't ton swap your junk in a day, then you're doing it
Yeah,
wrong.
exactly. Come on, Luke.
Yep.
A month? Way too fucking long.
Oh shit.
So,
Yeah, we're running on
Uh,
an hour and 30 if we want to start winding down. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm good for whatever.
Before we wind down, I do want to ask what the general consensus is between the Mickeys and the USDs. I was kind of wondering on that.
Yeah, I can say that they are different. Um, I'd say also the Mickeys seem to do a little bit better crawling, and I'm sure Bart will agree with everything I'm about to say. The Mickeys seem to be stickier and crawl better, especially on flat, dry rocks. We haven't, because I think I've only wheeled on my USDs 3 times now. But I think the USDs will probably shine in more of your hill killing and wet stuff, if I were to guess. They've done well in the few times we have ridden and it was wet. They did really well. But I think the Mickeys will edge it out in some crawling ability, but the USDs will do some digging.
There's
I don't know.
There's no question the USDs dig. I think they dig more than the Mickeys because Bradley will spin a tire a half revolution and his shit will sink if he's in like loose stuff, not on rock. As far as I haven't seen. Well, I guess I've rode with you once or twice since you've had the USDs.
You drove it for like, I don't know, a day and a half.
Oh yeah, I did. So I guess the one thing I've noticed about the Mickeys, and I don't have much experience on, even though I drove his shit, but I've seen the damn Mickeys literally go to an undercut and with literally 6 pounds of oil pressure. Fuck, no oil pressure. 6 pounds of air pressure in the tire. It will literally look. I've got flashbacks from bad LSs. It will literally wrap around the rock, and you think there's no way this tire or this Jeep is gonna come up this little undercut, and it will literally wrap around it and pops up like it ain't nothing. And you're like, and then you ask yourself, it's like, holy shit, did it just do that? So. I think from what I've seen from Bradley's rig and what I've experienced in mine is that I think that the Mickey is probably more soft and has more give as far as what it does is how it grabs rocks. There's no question that the USD is still a hell of a tire. But of course, since I have a rig on the Mickeys, I'm going to be biased to it. I think, in my opinion, and Bradley's probably right, in certain situations, those Mickeys are going to outshow that USD a lot, and especially the area we're in. And there's going to be times that those USDs in certain situations are going to be better as well. So it just goes back. If we can talk about the DOT tires and the difference in those and how some perform better than others. Even
They're all the same.
Those,
they're all completely the same.
Yeah.
All the DOTs are exactly the same. You just pull up to something and spin.
Yeah.
Ouch. That hurt.
I will agree with everything Bart said. I mean, everything is exactly pretty much the way he is. The only difference is mine. I mean, they're starting to feather out and kind of break in. Bart's are well broken in. I guess we'll see kind of how that goes once mine are well broken in like his are. But they'll be the Mickeys do work. There's no doubt about it. And I would say I won't say 9 times out of 10. I'd say 7 times out of 10, the Mickeys are crawling something that I can't crawl.
Wow.
That's an interesting. I wasn't exactly expecting that, but I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I kind of was. The USDs are like shovels. I don't like.
They are like shovels, and part of it still could be because mine are not broken in, and Bart's are well broken in. Like you look at his, everything's nice and rounded off and cupped up and all that. And mine, it still has some sharp edges on it, so mine might get to that point. They're not there yet. I don't see them getting to the point of cupping up and rounding out like Bart's do because of just how aggressive they are. So I don't see them ever crawling like a Mickey, but I think they will get better. And they've already gotten better so far.
There's no question that there's a big difference from mine being brand new to where they are now. And I think that has to do with just them breaking in and not necessarily the feathering of the tire, as far as it's just the compound of that tire is starting to give. And I think that the USDs will get to that point to where they're what the Mickey does. And I'm not going to say that it's going to be as competitive or or better or worse, but there is a difference in a non-DOT tire, brand new versus being broke in. Because I was my first trip out on those tires, I was once again I went from 40s to 43, non-DOT. So I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. But now there's a big difference in it as far as how that tire gives more. And I think that's what the USD lacks right now from what I've seen from Bradley's, is that tire has to break in more. That compound has to do something different. And then when it breaks in, it's going to give more. It's going to have that grip. It's going to have that fold where it goes over the rocks and stuff.
Yeah. But as thick as the sidewalls of a USD are, I don't think it'll ever get to the point of wrapping around something like that, because there's pictures on the internet from Kryptonite Customs, the people that make them, of where they've hole sawed out the sidewall and they laid a quarter on the sidewall, and the sidewalls on those things are as thick as a freaking quarter.
Jesus
God
Christ.
damn.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think a quarter is right around 3/4 of an inch. So that's how thick a sidewall is on a USD.
So are the USDs bias?
Yeah, they're bias.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same. I honestly think the USDs get there. I think those USDs take more to break into what the Mickey did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason I said I was surprised was just like the margin, 7 times out of 10, I was expecting it to be a little bit closer, because to me the USDs seem like they're such paddles that the lug would just kind of like flop up on top of the next thing.
But he has a contact patch too. If his lug's
That's
bigger,
it.
if it's not rolling over as much as the Mickey's contact patches, yeah, they're both luggy as fuck tires, but I don't know.
I
Yeah,
have,
There's no question that the way that compound is of the Mickey is superior of a lot of other tires, and you've seen a lot of people and a lot of rigs go to Mickey's in the past year. Like when I
they
first got
came
them,
out of
I-
left field.
huh?
Yeah, it's a sleeper tire for sure. There's no doubt about it, because
It's
people
cheating.
people with reds, say that reds are the best, but shit, them Mickey's doing some damn work.
The thing is, if you can keep your RPMs down just enough to get the tires to spin very slowly, and you're trying to cross something, and you don't want to act like D-White and do dumb shit, you can actually just let the tire do work and work your steering wheel, and it's going to grab something and it just goes. Like I get in situations all the time, whether it's wet or dry, muddy or whatever, and I can sit there and turn the steering wheel back and forth, and either it usually just crawls up it, or sometimes I'll just go ahead and hammer down, heat them up, and then I'll just let it off of it, and then I'll slowly crawl it and turn the steering wheel, and then it just walks right up stuff. It's insane what those tires do if you can just work different situations of what you're in.
Yeah, I was looking at the Baja Bosses for the next set, not the Baja Pros, or I might have it backwards. It looks like a budget MTR, but it's in a sticky.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a Baja Boss.
Yeah, I'm looking at those for the next set, because if I'm gonna keep going out to like AOP and the areas around here, I feel like the stickies are gonna be a cool play eventually.
Yeah,
And
for sure. They make a huge difference.
And like you guys were just talking about with the market, it's wild what people are paying for tires right now used. I don't understand it.
And
You
I
can
got a
buy
screaming
new.
deal on my USDs, and I mean, you can't even buy them still, to my knowledge. And I'd say whenever they finally do come back on the market, you're probably going to be looking north of $4,500 for a set.
Yeah.
If I were to
Believe
guess.
it. But like down here, I was looking at a set of reds, and they're 3/4 clapped, and the guy wants 1,500.
He can
set
fuck
of-
straight off.
A set of newer 37 Nittos got posted for like 16, and the listing's already down.
Yeah.
So, something to think about for me down the road.
I'm too much of an idiot to run reds. There's no, that just wouldn't, it wouldn't work with me. I like the
Red,
idea of them. I think they're great tires, but I couldn't run them.
Reds in New England do a lot of work, especially bald. For some reason, as they get more worn down, they do better.
It's all about that contact patch, yo.
And then there's
Yep.
there's no tread. There's all contact. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's all the contact. Whenever you don't have to paddle your way through mud, then contact patch matters.
True. Maybe that's why the USDs work so well when you got the RPMs going, because it's just spinning the paddles and getting those contact points
Yeah.
back on the ground.
Getting them clean. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
ain't gotta-
they
you
really
ain't
do
gotta clean
shine
those
when it's
tires
wet.
out, dude.
No,
gotta clean
they
those
clean
tires out.
themselves.
Yeah.
They really don't. I have
But
I have pictures on my phone of them like caked in mud, and you still see the lugs still poking out of them. Like there's, you can cake them up, and there's still lugs sticking out of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I liked it. I like the USDs just for their appearance only.
Just
Like,
because they're gnarly as fuck, dude.
you put a USD on a Jeep on tons, and they look fucking badass. I mean, they look great. It's an
Yeah.
awesome looking tire. They do work though. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything negative about them. They do work, and Bradley's a good example of that because he went from the 43 Swampers to those, and his Jeep. He's not. What was it you said at one time? You put it in gear and you can actually just go, and it doesn't instantly spin.
Yeah, that's very
So I mean,
true.
there's a big difference, in just whether you stop to help somebody and you may have been on a slick rock. When you're on a DOT tire and you put it in gear, and all of a sudden you're like, "Damn, it's spinning," and you got to back
Yeah.
up and bump it or something. Where now, when you're running a non-DOT, you just put it in gear and just go.
Yeah,
was
I
all
don't
day.
beat on my junk. I don't beat on my junk nearly as hard as I used to. You look at me, let's see, I guess 6 months ago, I was glowing the headers, acting a fool on 41. I mean, I had plenty of sodas at that point, but I had plenty of sodas at the meet and beat, and I was not having to beat on it the way I was on 41 that night. I mean, it was unreal. I mean, the difference is unreal.
Damn.
On Saturday, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good. You're good.
On Saturday, I went up to AOP, and we'll probably talk about it on another episode, but it was just constant back up, bump it, hit it in second gear, clutch dump it everywhere. It was a good time, but yeah, it'd be nice to put it in gear and have it just go up the hill.
Yeah.
But that was dry. Y'all were there when it was dry.
No.
You
Well,
go to
when
that
it was
place
wet.
when it's
Yeah.
huh?
I was there when it was wet.
Oh, were you? Yeah, that's a damn
Yeah.
shit show.
It was a damn shit show.
Yeah, it's horrible when it's wet. I mean, not only when we went to Trail Fest years ago, Bradley, and we ended up nicknaming it Mud Fest because it was so fucking bad.
Yeah,
that
it's bad.
the rocks and the mud would get caked up in the fenders to where when you start hitting bump stops and stuff, the rocks are scraping your inner fenders because it was so caked up so bad. So that place when it rains, it's nasty.
Yeah. I'm gonna save it for another episode, but all I'm gonna say is I got 20 feet into the trails and the illusions of taking it easy vanished, and it was just
Nope.
a roll path.
Yep, that gone. You forget about that. That's that park. Whenever it rains, it is beat down central. That is the only thing you have to know how to do is where to put your right foot. That is it.
Pretty
You're
much.
not wrong about that. I've got one
The thing-
final. Oh, sorry.
The thing is most of the time there's just zero traction. You really won't break much of anything. You'll just slide everywhere. You should. There's not enough traction to break shafts whenever it's that wet. You just go up there and you just have to keep it in your mind. It's like foot on the floor and just go for it. That's the only way you'll make it up anything.
The cool part I will say about that park is, in my very limited experience, when it is wet, you can put your foot on the clutch. If it is not going, and you're not falling back stupidly far. You can go like just gently hit the brake and you're going to slide into something that will stop you and hit it again.
Yeah, that's true. There's
always-
usually piles of rocks everywhere that keep you from rolling back super far.
Exactly.
Well, that's what screwed you up at AOP on 41, Bradley. You rolled back into a rock.
Yeah, it was what happened. I didn't press the clutch though.
Well,
Yeah.
alrighty. I think we're kind of slowing it down. We started this one late, so we're all a little tired. But Bart, what's your social media? Where can people follow you? What's your shop name? Got to give that a quick shout out. Tell us, where people can find you.
My Instagram is shit, I forgot.
Home address.
Prater
book.
TN underscore ZJ.
Prater underscore TNZJ on Instagram, and social media or Facebook is just Bart Prater, and shop is Prater's Automotive Repair. That's in Medina, Tennessee, and I'm usually very slow to respond to stuff just because I'm always busy. But you give me a shout out.
But if you ever need a deal on some gears or axles or anything like that, hit them up.
Yeah, I definitely hook people up with my contacts through different suppliers, Yukon and stuff like that. East Coast Gear Supply. So if y'all need some hookup on gears, lockers, and things, axle shafts, U-joints, whatever, definitely hit me up on it.
We'll be talking after the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely get you some stuff at some wholesale pricing and things like that. So
Yeah.
And the wholesale is not to everybody, just to clarify. The listeners may not get the wholesale. To clarify.
no, there's definitely markup on stuff, and with people that I'm in close contact with, definitely get the real good hookup. I definitely drop ship some stuff. You give me your address and stuff like that, we can make some stuff happen. But I definitely wasn't trying to get on here and promote a business or anything. But
that's it. Hey, you're here for it, man. You came on, allowed us to have a nice show, nice episode, so we figured we can give you some back for sure. So
yeah, my more than likely, I just help and want to support people in the Jeep community to build their rigs, to do something better, to grow their product, whatever it is. So, it's nothing that I wouldn't do for anyone else. So if I can help out people, and I've helped out a lot of people, whether it's Mississippi rock crawlers or even 45 South, which is a Jeep community here in Tennessee, I help out people, and I'm not trying to do it to get rich on it. I just do it to help people out because I love the sport of rock crawling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Prater's Automotive Repair in Medina, Tennessee, 731-462-7004.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. Hell yeah, that's what we're looking for. Gotta be on it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for coming on. I absolutely appreciate it, and we all appreciate it very, very much. And again, for all the people listening, go check out their Instagrams. Brad, what's yours? Might as well throw it out there.
Yeah, it's just pork chop _XJ, or you can find me on Facebook at Brad Prater.
Well, go give those guys some love. Show us some love too. We've been slacking on our Instagram posts, and we do apologize that our podcasts have been going out pretty late. We suck ass at this, we're trying our best, but hopefully we get better one day. And Richie, let's close it out, buddy. What you got?
Hey, real quick.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had more time to wheel with y'all when we were out there at AOP. Next time, I got to get with y'all more because I didn't get that much ride time with y'all.
We didn't.
I enjoyed hanging out with y'all tonight.
In general, honestly,
I think that some of y'all had some breakage and we had trail ninjas and stuff, but I enjoyed meeting y'all, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, no doubt.
Labor Day weekend, Roush Creek. Come to the Web Wheelers Ball. It's something that we don't really host it. It was a thing of just like some friends like getting together, but somehow the blue collar group kind of.
It's not an event.
I mean, it's kind of slowly turned into an event. To be fair. But
it's
At this
not an
point, it
event.
is.
It's just a meetup. That's the best you can call it.
Sounds like an event to me.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
The meet and greet was an event. Then that's what you're saying. It was a meetup.
They had
and
like a
people rode.
raffle and shit and hot dogs and burgers. We don't even go that far. You're lucky if you get a granola
Well
bar.
put together. I guarantee that we'll have beer for you, but that's about it.
Tippy cow. Don't forget the tippy cow.
Yeah, tippy cow. I'll bootleg some up there if I got to, I guess.
Hell yeah!
I'd never heard of that till I got talking with you guys and then down here. So definitely gonna have to bootleg some of that up.
We appreciate
Yeah,
that. So, Richie, give us the closing out. What you got, buddy? Oh, caught him red-handed, not even talking.
He's asleep.
Anyway, he's asleep. Well, fuck, I got nothing. I was thinking of something.
All right,
I'll
I got it.
Check your welds. Make sure your cross members aren't going to fall off your shit because it can possibly ruin your weekend. It didn't ruin mine. I still had a great weekend. Just ruined my night. But check your shit. Make sure your shit's ready to go. That's all I got.
And keep
So
your
keep
trail
your tippy
ninja on
cow-
a fucking leash.
I was gonna say, keep your
your
tippy
trail
cow.
keep your trail ninja strapped in your junk because he might go ninjetting through the woods before you know it.
I'm showing up in a balaclava next time we go.
Oh man.